everybody, this is Nick Newman here with RPG Mastery, and today's episode is going to be the top 10 Cleric and Oracle spells that I have carefully sifted through and have weighed the pros and cons of the other spells, and these are the spells that I definitely want on my character at all times, and kind of the spells that kind of define what, in my opinion, makes a good Cleric or a good Oracle. So we're going to start off at level, or our number 10 spot, and of course we're going to go by level here. And the level, it's a level 0 spell, and it's an Horizon, which means you can cast it over and over again without having to worry about spell slots. And our first spell is called Guidance. Now, Guidance is one of those spells that once you start using, you're going to use over and over again. You're going to use it through the whole game. It's probably going to become quite a bit redundant, having to tell your GM over and over again, I cast guidance. Before anybody does anything, you want to hit them with the guidance. It only lasts 1 minute. You have to touch somebody or touch yourself to do it. And the components are, there's no material components, it's just verbal and somatic. And basically what it does is it grants a creature +1 competence bonus on a single attack roll, saving throw, skill checks. And the creature must choose to use the bonus before making the roll to which it applies. But since it's an Horizon, you can basically just use it pretty much every time you do anything other than every non-combat thing, because you don't want to use your standard action of your turn to be casting it. But outside of it, why not? Give yourself a +1 to pretty much anything. If there's time you have during combat where you're waiting, go ahead and cast on yourself in the last minute, which might be the whole combat. So, pretty great spell. Pretty good spot for number 10. Alright, now we're moving to number 9, and this is a level 1 spell. And most people who play Clerics or Oracles will definitely know this one, and it's called Sanctuary. Now, this is where playing a Cleric can sometimes differ from some of the other classes that you might pick up and start playing. Basically what it does is it targets a creature, which is usually you or someone else, and any opponent attempting to directly attack the creature, even with a targeted spell, must attempt a will save. If the save succeeds, the opponent can attack normally and is unaffected by the casting of the spell, but if the save fails, the opponent can't follow through with an attack. And then part of its action is lost, and it can't directly attack the warded creature for the duration of the spell. So once it fails, it's over. It's not going to be able to hit you or anyone else that is being warded during the whole casting of the spell or the whole duration of the spell, which is 1 round per level. So this spell is pretty great. You can hit yourself with it. You can still cast spells that don't attack anybody else, so it's very similar to Time Stop in that regard. But basically, just defends you, and let's imagine if you're on some kind of mission where you have to carry somebody safely through a deadly situation, you can, as a Cleric, can kind of become that defender of that person and guarantee that you guys can escape. Worst case scenario, you can cast Sanctuary and then run away from the battle, and it might give you that little bit of an edge to survive. And it's funny to use sometimes in situations with a party where there's violence or conflict, and you can cast that on yourself and basically be sure that nobody's going to be able to retaliate to anything that you say to them. So, very cool spell. Very cleric-y, and it helps define what it is. The cleric is a person of wisdom and knowledge and guidance and virtue. So that's kind of a really cool spell flavor-wise, and it can help you survive, which is what I like a lot. So our number 8 spot is a level 2 spell, and this spell is a little bit unorthodox, but I believe if I play a Cleric, I'm definitely taking this spell, and I'm going to use it quite a bit, and it's called Silence. Now, basically what it does is you choose an area, 20-foot radius, and it's a spread around that radius, and anything in that radius cannot make a single sound. Now, at first that kind of sounds silly, but if you're playing in a world with a lot of wizards or sorcerers, this will completely lock down a wizard or a sorcerer. It can also lock down other enemy clerics, bosses that cast spells that require verbal components. So basically, it stops a enemy from being able to use any spell that has a verbal component, which is a lot. It's a ton. And what's great is you can target the person or the creature that is using this, or using spells with this spell, and they can make a saving throw to try and negate it, or you can just attack, or you can cast a spell on the ground around them. And then when they go to cast a spell, you can remind the GM, oh, anyone within this area cannot use verbal components. So that means that the spell will completely fizzle if they try to cast something, and you would be surprised how many spells require verbal components to cast. I had a mission once where I played a cleric and we fought a lich, and the lich was going to cast a bunch of spells to turn us to stone or to teleport out. I believe he tried to teleport out away from us, and I had all of us basically fist fighting this lich in this 20-foot radius of silence, and the lich could not escape. And it saved us, and we were able to find his phylactery and win. And basically, the spell completely shut him down. So if you have problems with wizards or sorcerers or something like that, and you're a cleric, just drop the silence on them and then watch them scramble through their spell book to try and figure out a spell that will work. And if you have them locked in a corner or some space where they can't escape, it's over. So very, very, very powerful spell. Okay, so our number 7 slot, level 3, is called Stone Shape. Now, this isn't so much of a combat spell as much as it is a very powerful utility spell. It can be used in combat to create walls to defend yourself, shape the terrain in different ways to make it harder for enemies to climb up. You can use it to elevate yourself and move. It's pretty... The sky's the limit with this, really. Basically what it does is you can form existing pieces of stone in any shape that suits your purpose. While it's possible to make crude coffers, doors, and so forth with stone shape, fine detail isn't possible. There's a 30% chance that any shape, including moving parts, simply doesn't work. So you don't want to make anything too extravagant, but you can make stairs, you can make walls, you can make little buildings if you know it. And we're talking, let's see, it is a 10 cubic feet, plus 1 cubic feet per level. That is a lot of stone. If you're in any place that has a lot of stone, maybe you can completely move a wall. You can create your own wall by bending the stone. You can break through labyrinths. You can burrow your way through things by casting this spell. The utility of this spell is just completely nuts, and it's kind of a hidden gem sitting there that not a lot of people know about. A lot of the campaigns I've played, if you go to any dungeon or something, you're going to be dealing with a lot of stone. And it's just... It's one of those game-breaking spells if used in the right situation. So definitely recommend Stone Shape. Alright, so our number 6 best spell, and then of course we go up level slots, and this is level 4. Now I got trouble picking a spell for the level 4 slot because I believe that the level 4 slot has kind of a lot of mundane, normal spells. But because you were a cleric, I chose an oracle. I chose the Cure Critical Wounds as its spot because it's the best single target healing spell. Now, when I play a cleric or an oracle or anything like that, I highly recommend that people try not to just be a party healer. The cleric and the oracle are so much more than the team's healer. You know, you want to be able to do it, and mainly for yourself, but or maybe save somebody's life in a situation, but that's not what you want to be doing. You want to basically be figuring out ways to help the party through non-combat, but also put your enemies in disadvantageous situations during combat, or you want to basically end combat altogether. And that's what makes a pretty good cleric. Now, on top of that, clerics are pretty tanky, can wear heavy armor and stuff, and they can get close in a battle and really wreck some foes with their bonuses and these crazy spells aiding them in their pursuit of destroying and smiting enemies in the name of their god. So clerics are very versatile, so you don't want to just stick your character in the slot as basic healer, because first of all, you have only so many spell slots, and second of all, you want your character to pull weight beyond just being somebody that aids the party and pushes forward. But because you are a cleric, Cure Critical Wounds is going to be on our number 6 slot, because it's something unique to your character that not a lot of other classes can do. Wizards can't heal people unless they use a very specific spell, and sorcerers can't do it either. So clerics and oracles definitely should pull this spell up and use it basically to save the party or themselves. Let's see, so we're moving on to number 5, and this spell is when you start getting out of control. The Oracle and the Cleric, this is when they become the boss enders, you know what I'm saying? Like the end of conflict altogether. And this spell is called Plane Shift. And what makes this spell so great is basically that you and up to 8 people can completely shift and go to a different plane of existence. I'd work it out with your GM what planes exist before really settling on this one. But if it's standard, you've got all kinds of planes. I mean, even the surface of the sun is considered a plane in Pathfinder. So that, and with that being said, there is saving throws, a will saving throw to negate this. There is spell resistance on it. But a cleric can target an enemy and cast this plane shift spell on that enemy and basically banish them and teleport them away to whatever plane of existence they want. So if you find some enemy who's messing with you, you can basically touch them for a standard action. And let's see, and the components are verbal, somatic, and it's got one item, which is a forked metal rod attuned to the plane of travel. So that might be a little bit hard to get, but probably not too hard. And you can basically banish that enemy to that plane, and let's say it's the surface of the sun, you can be like, oh, okay, I want to plane shift this boss to the surface of the sun, and if he fails or she fails her saving throw, it's over. She's on the sun, he's on the sun, and you can basically consider that person dead. So this spell is just out of control, and later on you can shift yourself to whatever plane to get out of situations. So if you can't quite land the hit with the boss, making it a save or die spell, you can use it to save yourself. And that versatility is just amazing. And Plane Shift is a very scary spell for me as a GM, and it's a very awesome spell for me as a player. So, moving on from Plane Shift, we've got our number 4 slot, so we're moving on up now. We got our level 6 spell here, and this spell is called Find the Path. And this is what I was talking about when I was saying clerics are more than just healers. They can help push the plot along. They are the best at finding mythical, legendary items. They're the best at solving missions outright. Any good party will have an oracle or a cleric, and that oracle or cleric will guide the party in situations and direct them to where they need to go. And Find the Path is the beginning of making your GM want to smash his or her head off the table in frustration, because this spell basically, it says the recipient of the spell can find the shortest, most direct physical route to a prominent specified destination, such as a city, a keep, a lake, or a dungeon. So it doesn't work on exact items, doesn't work on people, but you can say things that are kind of vague, like, I would like to find the boss's lair, and cast a spell, and the spell will take you to the lair. Maybe you know that a mission requires you to get to a certain location, and you know the idea of the location, but you don't know exactly how to get there. You cast a spell, and it will give you the most physical, direct route to that destination. And if you're lost, it can get you out of being lost. Let's see here. Let's see. It can get you out of the effect of a maze spell. Which a maze spell is basically a spell that you get hit with, teleports you to this maze where if you're not smart enough to escape, you'll never escape and you're trapped there forever. But that spell can get you out of that situation. God forbid that ever happens to you. But on top of that, if you're in a dungeon, you're trying to find the treasure. So you could say, I want to find the treasure room, or I want to find the lowest level. You don't have to worry about doing any of the side stuff, and you can skip ahead, and it'll make your GM very frustrated. And spells that make your GM frustrated and make them work harder are good spells. So find the path. We'll take our level 4, our number 4 spot at the best Cleric and Oracle spell. So we're going to move on to our number 3 spot, which is a level 7 spell. And this one shouldn't surprise anyone. And the spell is called Resurrection. Another fundamental thing about being an Oracle or a Cleric isn't just healing, but bringing people back from the dead. Now, if this spell didn't exist, if True Resurrection didn't exist either, I wouldn't even consider Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons a game, because there would be a game in its definition defines something as being kind of a simulation or just something that's for fun. So the idea that loved characters can die and be brought back by powerful oracles or clerics makes it a game. That makes it more fun. And not only that, as long as something hasn't been dead for 10 years, and you have a piece of that something, you can bring it back to from the dead completely with only 1 negative level. This means you can bring back NPCs, you can bring back your buddies, you can bring back animals. Very, very cool spell. It's unique to the Cleric and the Oracle, so I highly recommend getting it. The only problem I have, and the only problem True Resurrection isn't at the top at our number 1 slot, is because it doesn't really work on yourself. If you had True Resurrection that worked on yourself, because you can't really cast it if you're already dead, I would say it would be the best spell in the game outright, because anything that keeps you from dying is great. So because of that, I would say that puts it appropriately at our number 3 best Cleric or Oracle spell. The only downfall to the spell is you have to have some diamond worth at least 10,000 gold pieces. And of course, you're never resurrecting yourself, obviously, so you can allow the party, or put that upon the party, to find and scrounge up that kind of money to help resurrect each other in a bad situation, or recover from maybe a fatal TPK or something like that. And remember, by this time you've already got plane shifts, so if things go down, you know what I mean, and if your ally dies, you can grab a piece of your ally, plane shift out, and then resurrect them elsewhere, and then recoup and get ready to fight the boss again. So just absurdly powerful, great spell, and it saves games. So definitely number 3. Now, what can be better than that? Number 2. Now, really, this spell, even though it's a level 8 spell, this spell almost made it to number 1. Almost. Because this spell is so powerful. It's the end for your character. Once you get this spell, the game is in your hands, as long as you have a decent GM that'll allow you to play this stuff out. But the spell is called Discern Location. And it says, nothing short of a mind-blank spell or the direct intervention of a deity can keep you from learning the exact location of a single individual or object. So this is what the spell does. You cast the spell. There's no saving throw. There's no spell resistance. You can find anyone or anything anywhere. You see, you cast the spell. It costs 10 minutes to cast. No material components for this spell. So this makes an Oracle or Cleric, this is the peak of what they do. They can find anything, and it's what makes a Cleric or Oracle superiorly powerful. Towards the end here, you can start looking up just take the Pathfinder core rule book, or whatever books you're using, look through those legendary items and be like, where are these items? I would like to locate this. I would like to locate this. Start collecting magical items, and then take your character from that level and just push them beyond, making them stronger than anything they'd be on their own at level 20, or at least level 16 or 18, I believe, by the time you can get this spell. Not only that, you can use it to find final bosses. You can use it to find people that are hiding, enemies that are hiding. It's just absolutely bonkers, game-breakingly powerful right there. With this, if you have this spell and you have access to teleport, that's it. You, a cleric and an oracle at this level, or a cleric, oracle, in combined with a sorcerer or a wizard that can teleport, and there are even cleric builds that will allow you to take teleport. This, in combination with teleport, you can find the location of a very powerful item, teleport it to it immediately, take the item, and bounce out of there, and that's it. So this, to me, really should be in the number 1 spot, but it's got very close competition. Because number 1, which is what we're going to get to right now, it's a level 9 spell. It's called Miracle, but scratch that. I'm going to say that Miracle is not the number 1 spell, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but Miracle states in the rules that you're not so much casting a miracle as you are requesting a miracle from a god. Okay? Which means that, I don't know about you, but I've GM'd a lot before, and this gives the GM quite a bit of power to manipulate the rules, to try and F you if they want to screw you over on this. And I really do not like that leeway. I like the leeway of a wish, because a wish is a little more direct, and I think wish would definitely take a number 1 or number 2 spot, but Miracle does not win that for me, and I'll tell you what does win it for me, and it's a spell called, this is a level 0 spell, and the spell is called Read Magic. Now, it's a Horizon that a Cleric and Oracle can use, and it can use it to decipher magical inscriptions on objects, books, scrolls, weapons, and the like. So, you might be asking yourself, well, why would a Horizon be the number 1 most powerful spell an Oracle or a Cleric could take? And I will tell you, it's because of the feat Scribe Scroll. If you are playing a Cleric, and you're not part of Pathfinder Society, then you should definitely take the feat Scribe Scroll. Now, it's given to Wizards and Pathfinder, the core rulebook, at level 1, but it's not given to Oracles or Clerics. And Scribe Scroll is banned for Wizards in Pathfinder Society strictly because the spell, or that feat, is just crazy. You can infinitely increase your spell slots based on how much gold you have to write scrolls. And scrolls come in 2 different kinds, maybe 3 different kinds, but they come in the arcane kind, and then they come in the divine scrolls types, which means that clerics and oracles can take any spells from their spell list, create these scrolls, and use Read Magic to cast these scrolls later, making oracles and clerics have so much utility. It's ridiculous. It allows you access to every oracle and cleric spell that you are aligned with, and that can use. And so basically that makes Read Magic, to me, the number 1 best oracle or cleric spell you can have, as long as your GM allows you to take Scribe Scroll, which should be fine in a normal home campaign. Right in the core rulebook, vanilla, it says you can do it. And you just set up all kinds of things, create food and water, all these spells, make double the spells that you have, and then use these spells basically to just make your party have the easiest life you can possibly have. So, Clerics and Oracles, supremely powerful class. They do everything a wizard and a sorcerer can't do. You know what I mean? So, very, very powerful. And this is Nick Newman with RPG Mastery. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And again, this list was my opinion, so if anybody has different opinions on it, I really do respect that. And please leave those your opinions in the comments below, and let's get a good discussion started. So thank you very much. This is Nick Newman with RPG Mastery, and please remember to stay calm and roll 20.